Just remember now, Friday is Paint It Purple. This is World's Alzheimer's Month. It's kind of hard for me to get out, but Friday is the big day that we are encouraging everyone, I mean down to your little bitty toddler, to have on something purple. Put a purple ribbon on your front door, a purple balloon on your mailbox, just anything, and then be sure to wear purple on Friday, because we are trying to bring more awareness to Alzheimer's. Kathy and I were talking in the other video, if you've not seen it, a little bit about the symptoms and the different signs of Alzheimer's, because as Kathy pointed out, it's coming into the baby boomers now. And it's younger and younger. We think it's young and younger because we don't think we're old, but we are. You know, we're at the time, but you don't think you're there. But what do you think if someone has a parent that they suspect Alzheimer's, what are you to start looking for?
Well, it's important to know, Sue, that there can be as many as 60 other things that can cause memory loss. Many times people will think, oh, I'm just, they kind of discount the symptom, or, oh, she never remembered a telephone number anyway. That may be true. However, there could be something else that's happening. So what I encourage folks to do is to go ahead and make a log of the problems that you're seeing. If you can log the date, the time, what was that actual problematic behavior? Did they get lost in a parking lot? Did they call you out of the blue at 3 o'clock in the morning and think that it was the middle of the afternoon? What are those things that are unusual that we might discount as normal aging? Mm-hmm. And then you want to take your medications to the doctor with you, not just the list, but the bottle. Take the bottle with you and let them know how you're taking it. Many times medications will cross, they'll crisscross, and you'll have some difficulty as a result of that. So, those are some simple things that you can do. Go ahead and make that log, and don't just rely on your own memory. Go ahead and write that down about the things that have brought you some concern, and then also take your medications with you to the physician. But I would go ahead and open up that dialogue with your doctor.
Well, okay, normally the only thing I hear people say is they can't remember. So immediately they tag it as Alzheimer's. And like you said, there are 60 other things you cannot be. But what are some other things you look for besides memory loss?
You see the short-term memory loss, of course, is one of the caveats and the things we tend to notice first. But anything that would seem somewhat out of the ordinary or out of character for that individual. For instance, when my grandmother was going through the disease process, she left the pecans out of her pecan pie. Now, if I did that,
nobody knows. Because you're not making a pecan pie.
No. But that year, I forget which holiday it was, she left the pecans out of the pecan pie, and she left the cheese out of her signature macaroni and cheese. And those were the two things that really brought our attention to the fact that something else was happening with her. So anything like that just seems kind of odd or out of the ordinary, you want to go ahead and make notice of. And recognize, too, that the individual may not realize there's an issue. Because usually, if you think you have Alzheimer's, you don't. It's most folks who have a memory problem don't acknowledge that they've got a memory problem.
I wondered about that because I have a memory problem, but I feel like it might be related to something else. I may end up with Alzheimer's, I don't know. But I thought, I wonder if you're really forgetting or are working harder toward doing a task. If you still know it, I would think you aren't quite there yet. I'm trying to figure out some way I can get out of quite being there.
Well, there are so many things that you can do. There's strategies that you put in place so that you don't forget your keys. Or things of that nature. And so, I think those things are important to do. But what we tell folks is if you're beginning to see that this is impairing your normal way of life, if you're beginning to forget appointments and, if that's part of your job, then that, if it's beginning to interfere with your job or with your normal leisure activities, then maybe there should be cause for concern.
It's hard to even think about it. I mean,
But we're so scared of I think one reason that we don't open that dialogue is because we're afraid of it.
I agree.
I think there's so much more that we can do now. There's so much more we can do to help manage the disease. There's so much more that we can do to help families as they're going through it and to help the individual that's going through it. There's so many more options now than there were even 10 years ago. There are things that I taught 7 years ago
Mhm.
that I teach differently now as a result of research. So, 95% of what we know about Alzheimer's we've learned in the past 15 years.
And that's
That's
something-
not
that-
a great period of
Mm-mm,
time.
no.
And that's changing every single day.
Well, that was when you really did address that, but one of the things I was thinking is that do you find that so many families won't acknowledge it?
It's hard. And I'll say that having been there
Mhm.
personally, but the things that I see professionally too, it's very hard to recognize that there really is a problem. And many times family members will view it differently. You have to look
Mhm.
at culture.
Mhm.
There are many cultures, when you look cross-culturally, where memory loss and Alzheimer's disease is just accepted as a normal part of aging.
Mhm.
And it's not until the person's well into the disease process that they realize there's a significant problem. So, I think that we are oftentimes maybe reluctant to admit that there's a problem, because then we have to come to face our own mortality and how this is going to shift our roles. 80% of caregiving is done at home, and that's unpaid care to the tune of about $2 billion annually. I mean, it's a significant number. So, the in-home caregiver really needs that support. And with as mobile as our family systems are nowadays, it's not like you've got 3 or 4 siblings that you can depend
No,
on to help
that's
share in
right.
that care. It may be a friend,
Mhm.
and a neighbor that are helping to provide that care. So that individual and that family that's caring for them at home really needs that support.
What do we have available in our area?
In our area, we have, our division is located, we split time between the Jackson office and at Boswell Regional Center. We have an office there. We have a new person on our staff to help us with family support.
Oh, that's great.
There's family support that's available through the Alzheimer's Association Mississippi chapter as well. We have a lot of educational resources that are available. But as far as tangible, hey, I can call someone up and come sit with me, we're very limited in that. There are some options that are available through home health and hospice, but again, it's being sure that the person meets that criteria, and that's different for both of those areas.
Well, does the doctor tell you about these different things that are available for them? How am I
Sometimes.
supposed to? How would I know to contact you? You would think in this day and age you just get on a computer, and get it. But if you've got someone that is struggling with that in their family, they need to be proactive.
Absolutely,
I guess, is what I'm trying to
absolutely.
say.
We have a resource guide that we publish in conjunction. The Department of Mental Health and the division and the Alzheimer's Association work together in the publishing of that resource guide. It is available for free. It's available in hard copy as well as electronically. So you can peruse that information. There's some fantastic information about what to expect through the disease process. And then we also have a listing of resources available statewide, and that's divided up by categories and then by counties as well. And we try to keep that as current as possible.
Well, I think for sure if that's one thing that we're learning is that we need to be proactive.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times we do want to run from the situation that's there. Because you think if you don't know everything, then it's not going to happen. I hope that you'll remember to wear purple, and I hope that we won't just wait to talk about this again till we have to wear purple.
I hope not.
Your life moves so fast and you're so busy with your stuff, but I really hope, because I had never thought about what Kathy said, is there's not a cure. You can make it a little longer or whatever, but better. But there's so much that we can do, and I'm telling you, for that caregiver, there's not enough that can be said about that.
And we want to encourage folks, especially on Friday, but anytime. The person who's caring for someone at home with Alzheimer's is not the person that's going to call you up and say, Sue, can you come sit with mom? It's not going to happen. You're just going to have to go do it. So we want to encourage you to, pick up an extra bag of groceries, or, who doesn't need toiletries at their home? There's just something simple to show support, and it will help make a big difference.
Oh, you've given us wonderful ideas. I always love talking to you because I learn so much. But again, I hope you'll have your purple on Friday, and you remind your neighbors and anyone you work with, and be sure you've got maybe a purple flower on your desk at work. I hope you'll have a good week, and